Okay, so first it was Alco, and then now we have Soujuurou here. You know, a good little summary from him. He had 20 minutes here. And yeah, let's just see how important he is to the story here. I'm usually, seeing him with, Alice or Alco. Most likely Alco in general. So yeah, let's see. And I was saying he was a little bit buff up in that thumbnail. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was Tsiah, just giving us, a good picture of him. But hey, man, like he put that work in. So yeah, let's see what he is all about here, personality and all that. And yeah, the connection that he has to maybe other people, But yeah, what just makes him so special? Especially, get a, a profile video like this. But other than that, I think that should be it. And I think, I was gonna go on to the Ainsworth magic or something like that. Yeah, after this. Look a little bit into that, because I've just been looking at a lot of this, right? Alcohol, Alice, vampires or witches and all that. So yeah, just move on to something a little bit different. But other than that, hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let's just get this reaction started.
That we had to come back around and do it again. We already got Alco out the way.
Yep, already got her.
We're coming back with Mr. Hands On, Mr. Show Me Where the Money At. And I do mean that literally. This man is about his paper. We got the profile for Soujuurou. We have went over this many times before, but Soujuurou is essentially the prototype Kazuki, the same Kazuki that teaches at Homonohara in Stay Night, Medea's master. They share a similar background in the sense that they both came from these villages where they were taught these secret techniques, Kazuki taking this as far as to become an assassin, and because they spent their entire lifetime being so drawn into their craft, you can see that other aspects in their character like charisma or certain hobbies is fleeting. As a matter of fact, if you look at Soujurou's original design, he actually looks a lot like Kazuki and resembles a bit of his older self in FGO. So starting us off here, a country boy who left his life in the remote mountains and descended into the modern era, a metaphorical time traveler while trying to acclimate to the excesses of the city despite his ordinary background and unsophisticated disposition. This unlucky part-timer came across a battle between mages. Well, magecraft is not that different from the things in the city, he thought. That's the mindset of the man who came to live in the same house as the magician Alco and the witch Alice. One may well call his optimism unrelenting. So when it comes to his upbringing, the village that he comes from is located way out in the mountains, away from society altogether, and that's all he's ever known. They hardly had contact with anybody. As a matter of fact, it's said that they would only have meetups around once a month, and the meetups would be with other villagers. So even in the contact that he had, he wouldn't be seeing anything that's out of the ordinary. It would just be other people of the same ilk. Of course, they didn't have electricity. He comes to the city, he doesn't know what a phone is, he doesn't know about politics, he treats everybody the same regardless of what sex you are. There's a lot of things that he needs to understand about being a person altogether. With him living this lifestyle as basically a human stripped of all of their characteristics, which in that case we just revert to our primal instincts, basically living like an animal. Didn't even know what a school was. So it's funny to see him coming down to the same school as Alco, and she's the one that has to usher him in and take all of this in as if it were something easy to process, especially with somebody being her age. That's very abnormal. He gets into school and he thinks the classroom is a one-on-one tutoring session. That's just how much out of the know he truly is. And as I brought up before, this unique perspective that he has throws Alco out of the loop, because she's thinking you have to be kidding. But at the same time, and she'll never admit it, you can tell that she has a lot of empathy for his situation simply because she's kind of walking the same shoes in a different way. By the time that she gets into the school, she's starting to take up the lifestyle of a magus, which just like Soujuurou is something that was unfamiliar to her.
That's what he meant with the guitar, right?
Learning about being a magus, he's learning about
him not understanding what
about society, and they kind of bridge the gap with these
like why she values that guitar.
The whole reason that Soujuurou comes,
it was something like that,
and this kind of works into the lore of the world itself, is that he came into contact with an event that made him wake up, that made him value value how precious life was. It's almost like an AI becoming self-aware. At first, it was just survival, it's just these primal instincts, and he never says what the event is. And that's why MiHoYo 2 has always been so desired, because there's still a lot left to unpack. He never says what it is. He's living his life focused on survival and these primal instincts, and once he realizes that there's a world beyond that, he told himself that he had to get out of there, and he came down to the city. And the thing is, he never really had a problem with the lifestyle that he was living because he was so used to it. Now he's in a hard place where he can't go back to the lifestyle that he used to live, because
that's normal for anyone.
But he's also
can't go back to what you used to do
among the people that he's around.
You just gotta adapt,
because he's lived that way up until this point, and you can't reverse that. They can tell him everything that they know, but he is what he is. There's really not too many of his kind, and that's why when he has conversations with Father Ari, who works under the church, it kind of struck a chord with him the most, because you can tell that he's one of the people that really gets it. As far as him being this part-timer, well, that's where that comes from. When he came down to the city, he had to find a new way to survive, so he gets a job, just a standard to the ground job at a Chinese restaurant, in order to keep up the apartment that he had while he attended the school. He actually tried to get 3 jobs, and they wouldn't let him because the student council restricts your employment.
Yeah, it's like,
stop gatekeeping.
That's a little much.
A defender of the risk-free tactic of keeping quiet about his beliefs. Not special.
Alignment, true, exactly neutral, okay.
Either. You get off into Bond 2, an inconspicuous facilitator, an ordinary man who managed to keep away from mage-leaning subjects despite living in the same house as Alco and Alice. Impressive layman. Perhaps due to his upbringing, maxed out on the nature aspect, he feels like a fish out of the world despite not having any particularly unique characteristics. He seems to lack an identity, but in reality, he has a solid ego that he simply doesn't care about. He doesn't place himself as the most important person. His strong point is getting along with almost anyone due to having a friendly personality despite not talking much. He's good at regular, mundane exercises that test his physical capabilities. And so to get into the Alco and Alice aspect, what happened there is when Alco and Alice were out at night performing magecraft where nobody was supposed to see them because of the bounded field, Soujuurou ended up seeing them. And now that he has become a witness of what went down, they have all arranged an agreement where he has to stay at the mansion with Alco and Alice, that being Alice's mansion to be exact. Huge mansion, by the way. And guess where they put my boy? In the attic. What type of room and board is this? So that's how they all ended up together, and Alco was already there learning under Alice anyway, because she had been inducted into the mage lifestyle, and the Awazakis were already friends with Alice's family to begin with. So that just went hand in hand. The idea of him not having an identity is definitely a ruse. It's more so of an uncommon identity, especially among people of his age where they're learning, they're exploring the world, and they're trying different things. And so in reality, at this point, everybody's finding out new things about themselves. Problem is, with him, most of these traditional things don't necessarily pique his interest as much. So when he gives his angle to things, it's always going to be something different. You get over into Bond 3. Although the definition of normality is a very subjective topic, everyone considers his personality normal by their inconsistent standards. He disapproves of inequality, preaches harmony, wishes every day to be enjoyable, and has honest and ordinary standards of good and evil. He's unassertive, lacking in desire for attention, and not very sociable. Nevertheless, he's not decadent or misanthropic either. He's passive but responds in good faith when someone does interact with him. The reason why the quiet Soujuurou is probably that as a listener in casual conversation, he's more sincere about the subject than the speaker. Because Soujuurou doesn't know how to interact with people, his escape valve is trying to take everything seriously. This never gets uncomfortable because he has zero will to pressure anyone. His serious, honest, calmness and weirdly cozy presence propels the speaker in a positive direction, resulting in people liking him. People meeting him for the first time tend to appraise him as the very picture of harmlessness. And
That's pretty much what he is.
She hears this comment.
Just pretty much normal.
This transition, everything is a walking lesson for him. Anytime that they're faced with danger, you know, Alco points out the fact of how
and at least he's like nice and stuff.
Like the puppet, for example. But through his eyes, it's hard to be taken aback by something like Toko's puppet when the concept of a city itself is magical. The idea of these cars and buildings, all this architecture is magical because technically they're not supposed to be there. And so in his mind, he treats that all the same, which leads to him having not only a greater will, but higher perseverance. He only lets you know what he wants you to know, as evident with conversations between pretty much anybody that he has, but especially Alco and Father Airy. And it's funny, the idea of somebody saying that he's harmless, knowing his background, when he can really put them on a t-shirt if he really wanted to, just off of the way he was raised. He is in fact really good at facilitating relationships, one of those being Hosuke. Hosuke being one of the characters on more of the support side of Witch on the Holy Night, so that's why you don't hear much about him, but he is one of the students that worked the same job as Soujuurou, and he was one of the first people that Soujuurou met. Once again, you know that he's been living with Alco and Alice, and they can teach him a lot of things, but they can't teach him certain things. They also can't teach him how to be a man. So he's taking a lot of things that Hosuke says at face value. And Hosuke isn't the worst person in the world, but he does have some degenerate values that could rub somebody in the wrong way. One of those, for instance, is the conversation that he had with Soujuurou about money and how money can buy you happiness, but it also won't desert you before somebody else will. Soujuurou takes this to heart, so it ends up becoming an entire arc of his character where he's just walking around asking people about money. This dude is in the church asking people about money. That's what I mean. There's just certain things that you don't do, and it's so hilarious. And that's why I brought up before that
but he just doesn't know though.
A pivotal part in some of the things that he did.
But you gotta get that money though.
Certain things.
I mean, that's the most important thing you gotta know.
Pay all of his expenses, but not being able to get the proper jobs that he wants. He's already looking at those conversations like something that feel really head on the nail to him. I mean, Hosuke is the same dude that was talking about getting his porn stash found that he had stuffed in the ceiling. It's like, first of all,
ceiling,
why
okay.
do you have porn in the ceiling?
Yeah,
like it's some dope.
Wait.
Hosuke talking like they about to run some canines through that
bro.
bitch. Dude, nobody cares that much. Second of all, why do you have magazines to begin with? That's how you know this is old. This dude's still using magazines like we're riding around and carrying them. So like I said, there's some good things to take, but not all. And speaking to the money element, this comes full circle when Soujuurou ends up getting paid under the table by an elderly woman just for him being around, just for coming to visit her. Like paid a ton of money, the equivalent of working actual jobs. He didn't
let me hold on. Let me find where she at. Shoot.
Problem on a moral perspective. Soujuurou is just looking at it like
give me something too.
When the reality is the woman's family didn't visit her, and so with her being up in age, she just wanted somebody to be around. So
okay,
all of that came back around.
It makes sense.
In FGO, that the timing of Soujuurou as a servant is a little bit after the events of Witch on the Holy Night, and he's actually working for Toby now, who was the vice president, which is really dope considering their relationship. Getting into Bond 4, Presence Concealment A. He's not exactly trying to hide, but he's so inconspicuous that people genuinely never see him approaching. It's impressive how he blends in wherever he is.
Because he's just so like normal, right? Like,
form is emptiness and emptiness is form. His lifestyle is spontaneously evasive, even though no one taught him to be like this. And even back in his old village, he speaks on it as more of a every man for themselves situation. He did have acquaintances as far as the people living there with him, but he never really regarded anybody as close in particular, especially not nearly as close as somebody like Alco and Alice. Good luck chant EX. Basic hypnosis magecraft cast by someone somewhere, somewhen, to undo his sense of fear. It doesn't have any effect because the hypnosis failed, but that was a significant interaction nonetheless. This skill name is Wait, what? This skill name is fake. The proper name of the skill was weapon concealment. Negates fear, confusion, and skill seal. Okay, I'm seeing it now. These skills are just anything. With these MiHoYo characters, I mean, because after seeing Alco have that protagonist EX,
oh yeah, that was crazy. It's like gains protagonist status.
Interventions from Alco and Alice, because just going through his animations, you do see that they help him out in the midst of battle. So it's not unrealistic for him to have a skill that does the same thing as well. You have Mushi, Fasatsu, Hinro, and an A rank. The Buddhist vow meaning, in my pilgrimage I shall see no death and commit no killing. Treat thy neighbor's death as nothing and kill not thine own life until thy mission be fulfilled. The bare minimum requirement needed to live in the harsh nature away from civilization. His risk avoidance and optimization of routes to complete tasks were elevated into an everyday habit. And see, this is interesting. This kill not thine own life until thy mission be fulfilled, because I specifically recall that it was a thing that the quote-unquote event that Soujuurou came in contact with was him possibly entertaining the idea of deleting himself, which would make a lot of sense because he's seen people die. He's seen people leave the village and not come back, and he said this out his own mouth and he thought nothing of it. So if that didn't do it, then it had to be something closer to home. And the fact that they brought this back up in the skill kind of makes me feel like this is a subtle way of them saying that's what we were going for. There's also other things like the conversation that he had with Father Eri, where he flat out asked Soujuurou would he do that to himself, but Eri didn't even know. He was just making an analogy. Eri just said it out the blue, but it's more so as if he's speaking for Soujuurou, because when he asked him the real reason why he came to the town, he couldn't tell him. An event like that would definitely make you realize there's more to life than just living in the mountains, if it can be helped. Then you have Shakutenrin Jizai Zaifuza, the Buddhist vow meaning I shall borrow the will of Chakra Vartan to take lotus position wherever. A surge in mental strength at moments of peril. A boost to his abilities caused by mental activity, specifically the vigor and willpower that comes with having a defined objective. The ultimate vital principle, the I must accomplish this before I die, is something normally utilized only once, and he's the living example of what happens when that's utilized constantly. A further point of note, this whittles away his invisible force of fortuity, but for those capable of accepting being discarded after being used, what can't be seen might as well not exist. And to piggyback off of the last skill, he has no problem throwing himself to the damn as long as he feels like it's for a good cause. Even in the face of his life being threatened, he rationalizes the situation as, well, all I can do is the best I can do, so I'm not gonna make it any more than that. If you look at his final ascension, which points things like this out in greater detail, the wraps around his neck are supposed to be yet another allusion to that self-deleting route. And also you have the scars on his arm, which come from a time that he was attacked by wild dogs. You know, he's in the village, they can only heal things the best they can, so the scars remain. As a part of his training and just surviving out there in general, he's dealing with dogs, he's dealing with wolves, he's dealing with bears. That was just a normal thing for them. You get into Bond 5, that is a lot of pluses. C rank, coordinates unknown, and the rest is blocked out. Lands one unavoidable blow. The more unfair nonsense there is to the opponent's defenses, the more the unrealistic attack they suffer becomes impossible to perceive, adapt, decipher.
Allegedly,
Allegedly is important. The only ones who know what happened and how it happened are the man driven to that choice and his owner. Wow. So basically, this dude is the hard counter to anybody with conceptual defense. This skill basically says, we don't give a fuck what type of defense you got. As a matter of fact, the better your defense is conceptually, you're screwed. That's actually so beautiful. I'm already seeing people say the stronger his opponent's defense is just makes his pimp hand stronger. Spoken like a true poet, I gotta give it to him. This is something that comes from Soujurou's fight with Liu Beowulf in his werewolf form, the MiHoYo version, who was in fact a subordinate subordinate of Toko, whereas a means to protect everybody else. On the scene, Soujuurou actually risked his life, and you have to keep in mind that Soujuurou has no powers at all. So he goes into a fight with Beowulf with just balls of steel, and he kills Beowulf as a human. This man literally busted his arm open to land the first blow, ignored the pain, and spun around to knock him with his elbow on the second. And that's why Nasu mentioned that Soujuurou was the strongest protagonist by normal standards in all of Type Moon. And Soujuurou coming to the city actually made him weaker because he was so attuned with nature. He had this
like
potency about him.
Yeah, understanding all this other stuff.
So he was actually stronger when he was out in the woods before this fight. When it comes to being normal, being of the vein of maybe a Sasuke or a Grand Hassan, he's the best to do it because he doesn't have a legend, he doesn't have a sword, he doesn't have any of that. Just grade A do you dirty. And of course, after that, Alco uses the fifth magic 2 to reverse time before that happened, so his body was restored, but that was the initial scenario. Then we have his Bond CE classic, which is a dish that he whipped up himself mid-story. An original recipe for an individual dish. Every man living alone develops at least one unique superpower like this. It started as the staff meal at the Chinese restaurant Soujuurou worked at, but it later evolved into his specialty. It's fried udon with a lot of additional ingredients, but thanks to its thorough seasoning, the flavor is rich and consistent, packing enough of a hidden punch to knock out his 2 roommates who depended on the high quality of the ingredients to make a decent meal. On a day without any special occasion, he naturally and smoothly offers you this proof of affection. And so this is his offering to Ritsuka, the Soujuurou special. So this is when Soujuurou decided to whip up some meals for him and his people at the mansion. He said, you know what, I got this. The man goes into the kitchen, cooks some noodles and throws anything on top of it and calls it gourmet. Gordon Ramsay could never, and that is what you call a special. Safe to say that Alice was disgusted. And we also have a translation note. All 3 vowels used as the names of Soujurou's 3 active skills are completely made up by Nasu. The vow used as the name of his not yet explained 3rd skill, Hyakotsu, meaning I shall train in 1,000 pagodas for 1,000,000 years to learn 100 tricks. Hopefully if you knew nothing about Soujuurou, you at least come out with something. I seen people coming on Alco's profile trying to downplay Soujuurou. I'm like, what? Hating on Soujuurou?
He's something.
Doing that? We gotta start disowning some of these dudes because that's not it. We do not claim him. The Type Moon fandom would like to make a trade because hell no. Anyway, Soujuurou on top, Mr. Capitalism has spoken.
Okay, then that is it for this one. Yeah, he's definitely something, and yeah, just basically, yeah, so normal. It's like he just blends in with the rest of society, you know, that type of thing. It's like you're not trying to, but you know, you're just kind of standing there, you know, not really making yourself known. Yeah, he took it down bare hands. Yeah, that's all he needed. And yeah, that definitely makes sense. Like, you know, you get more soft and all, especially like building connections. I mean, I don't know how many connections he made here besides the what was it, the other worker? Let me see. Yeah, besides him. But other than that, I mean, it still just makes you softer in general. Yeah, going to school and all that, actually learning things, you know. And if anything, I mean, I feel like just learning about the human anatomy, especially if you're just doing bare hands, that'll help with school. Yeah, that wouldn't really weaken you, just kind of make you stronger. Be like, oh, so I can actually, you know, hit, you know, the chin or something to knock someone out. Or something like that. Or the heart is located here or there, you know, or you could move around organs. I don't know. It just depends. Or just certain things that you can do to where it's like, okay, yeah, you can just completely take someone out just by doing this one simple thing. So yeah, that would be to where like he would actually be studying and all that. Let's see, yeah, getting a job, then having like a regular routine of, what was it, going to like that old lady, yeah, kind of getting that money and trying to understand more about money too. So yeah, once he learns about money and then goes back into the wild, it's like, oh, can I just pay for it like this? You know, like, no, you can't pay for you know, whatever they bring up there. But I get it though. Yeah, I've seen this plenty of times. kind of like, yeah, just straight, yeah, nature, or yeah, you're just blending in with nature, you know, really have no other connections besides like a few other people that, what he says, he meets like once a month. And then after that, going to the city, and it's like, whoa, like, what am I looking at? Is this lights? Like, all I've been using is like fire or something, right? They may have had lights and stuff, you know, where the village was, but still, most likely using fire and all that. And yeah, definitely other thing. Yeah, and then definitely other ways of like, yeah, getting animal. Yeah, that's that's what I was thinking too throughout this. Like, yeah, is he gonna be acting more of like an animal or just at least civilized? You know, so if someone like, you know, I don't even know, makes him mad or something, would he just fight them out of nowhere, or is he gonna just try and talk it out? You know, like most people. So that's what I was trying to see. But since he's mostly nice, yeah, I guess, yeah, that wouldn't really happen unless someone is really just trying to fight him or like already has hit him or something. I get that. But yeah, most of the time, I guess he would most likely just talk it out and trying to figure out, you know, what is the situation, you know, try and be like real serious about it. Like, it may have been the most, you know, silly thing, but he'll probably like take it seriously. You know, he may have just dropped someone's food or something, and, you know, someone else may have, and I mean, that's reasonable. Someone else just may take it out on him, like, yeah, why did you do that? And he'll just be like, oh, let me just, you know, pay for another one, you know, or just let me help you pick it up at least. Something like that, I guess. So yeah, yeah, putting him in the attic too. Okay. And they should, yeah, I'm pretty sure they would know he wouldn't just do anything suspicious, right? Is that why they did that? Yeah, I doubt he would do anything suspicious, try and, yeah, do anything weird with them. Like, yeah, they should know that. But yeah, going into fights and stuff, kind of calm, collected. Yeah, literally your arm, yeah, busting open and still just going at it. I could tell he did feel that pain though. I saw that. Let me see. I can see a little bit of sweat mark. Nah, I can see that now. He had to feel something. Unless that's just regular sweat because he's just moving really. But yeah, I like him. So yeah, now I can see, you know, a little bit more of his story, and how he connects with Alco and Alice. Because yeah, when I first saw, like, it was Tsiah's. Yep, Tsiah's, like, I guess, what was it, review of like the trailer for Witch on the Holy Night. It was like, I'm seeing Soujuurou, but I'm like, okay, who is this? Like, I've seen Alco before, and it's like I can kind of understand Alice, but it's like, yeah, who is Soujuurou? He just kind of looks like a regular dude, you know, just kind of human, which he is, right? But yeah, seeing it now, it's like, okay, yeah, he's a little bit more than just some regular human. But other than that, yeah, and then yeah, he has this. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what that would say. I mean, if I could at least see like the first letter after that evil spirit, then yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, because obviously you can tell coordinates, but other than that, I can't tell. So yeah, I guess I'll just end this off here. Yeah, what did it say? Every man, yeah, develops that one unique superpower. I mean, yeah, you just think of something and you're like, you know, what if I mix this and that, you know? And if it's good to you, that's fine. But other people, it may not be. But as long as you made your own sort of recipe and have something that you like, it may not be healthy, but it's still something that you did and can enjoy, you know. Other than that, I'm going to just end this off here. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe again, and y'all just see you guys in the next one.